Hello, and welcome back to File New, the best source of creator, artist, and tech news on Adobe Live. My name is Ryan Selvey, and today is Wednesday, June 12th. What do we got for you today? We've got Starbucks. They're starting their own movie studio. We got WWDC was this week, which is the Worldwide Developer Conference for Apple, and there are some new professional cameras for Apple Vision Pro content. There is a new content creator focused award at the Tribeca Film Festival. 100 years ago, a guy threw his letterpress into the Thames River. Now it's been recovered. It's a little bit controversial. We'll talk a little bit about that. Teenage Engineering has a show at SF MoMA. Ali is back with Hyperlinks. 25 photos that defined the modern age, and a whole lot more. We've got a lot to get through, so let's go ahead and get right into the news. All right, first things first, let's address the elephant in the room. Longtime viewers will know I like to disclose the views represented here are my own and not reflective of Adobe. That said, this show is on Adobe Live, so I recognize that it's its own thing. I want to be very clear when I say I work with Adobe and I do shows like this because at the time of this broadcast, as an artist, as a creator, I fundamentally believe in Adobe as a company. Adobe has been in the news a lot in the last week, and there's been a lot of confusion. There's been a lot of panic. There's been a lot of misinformation, et cetera, et cetera. So much so that Adobe plans to roll out updated changes to the terms of its service on June 18th, which is 6 days from today. There have recently been a lot of concerns about Adobe terms and what they mean to customers. So Adobe posted a blog post on Monday with some clear clarifications, and I just kind of want to go through a few of them. So number one, most important, I'm telling this to all my friends, you own your content. Your content is yours and will never be used to train any generative AI tools. Adobe will make it clear in the license grant section that any license granted to Adobe to operate its services will not supersede your ownership rights. Even more important, number two, Adobe doesn't train generative AI on customer content. This one is so big, I've had to tell so many of my friends this. They are adding statements to the terms of use to reassure people that it is a legal obligation on Adobe. Adobe Firefly, which is the generative AI that's provided by Adobe, is only trained on a dataset of licensed content with permission, such as Adobe stock and public domain content where copyright has already expired. That's also like back into the 1920s, so it's not your work. Number three, you have the choice to not participate in product improvement programs. Adobe may use usage data and content characteristics to improve your product experience and develop features like masking and background removal, among others, through techniques including machine learning, but this is explicitly not generative AI, and you always have the option of opting out of the desktop product improvement programs. Number four, the licenses Adobe requires to operate and improve products on your behalf will be narrowly tailored to the activities needed. The licenses required to operate will now include plain English examples of what they mean and why they are required. Adobe will also separate out and further limit the license required to improve products and make emphasis on the opt-out option. In no case do these licenses grant transfer ownership of your content to Adobe. And then number five, Adobe does not scan content stored locally on your computer in any way. For content that you upload to Adobe's servers, like all content hosting platforms, Adobe automatically scans content you upload to their services to ensure they are not hosting any sexual abuse material. If their automated systems flag an issue, they will conduct a human review to investigate. The only other instances where a human will review your content is when you request it for like a support request, if it is posted to a public-facing site, or to otherwise comply with the law. Okay, so we've got that out of the way. We can talk about some more things. It's been a very stressful week for me because, like I said, I have been talking with friends, talking with creators. I believe in Adobe. These are the things that they have updated onto their site. There will be more developments. I don't want to talk more about it because, I don't want to say anything wrong or that I'm not supposed to say, but I just want to add face to it that I am confident in my partnership with Adobe, and they are addressing it. They hear you. They're listening. Let's move on. WWDC was this week, and that's Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. It happened on Monday, and there were lots of updates for operating systems for the Vision Pro, the iPhone, the iPad, watchOS, and computers. And there is a Canon lens that's coming out that's going to actually shoot in the spatial photography. They also announced that there was a way to take your old photos and turn them into spatial photos, but this Canon will actually be a lens. It's weird because it looks like it's just the back of your iPhone, but I mean it has all of its processing power and stuff that's in the actual camera itself. And there isn't a lot of reporting actually that came to this about the EOS R7 camera, which is what this lens is fitted on. And they're limited from both Apple and Canon, but it's interesting to see that there's camera manufacturers being like, okay, we're going to start creating things that can only be experienced in this one headset, which is its own thing. And that also was a part of WWDC because there is a new professional, commercially available camera provided by Blackmagic. And this also is going to shoot in content creation, focus forward for the Apple Vision Pro. I found out this one from Jordan Aldridge at No Film School, which is a great site for not only news, but also just like industry standards and industry practices. They'll randomly go and just be like, what is a gimbal? And then they'll go from that. So if you want to learn more about making films, check out No Film School. But camera manufacturer Blackmagic is releasing the first ever commercial camera system. It will be able to capture 8K 3D video with a 180-degree field of view and spatial audio. It has a custom lens system pre-installed on the body, which is designed specifically for Apple immersive video, and it delivers 8K resolution per eye. That's okay. Just for each eye, you have a resolution of 8,160 pixels by 7,200, and it shoots at 90 frames per second. So like blast to the face, high definition. If this is going to promote spatial video, this is what's going to happen, and I will be interested to see who shoots on it, what is kind of shot on there. You have to shoot on it with it in mind, just in the same way you shoot a 3D film for 3D film. And people will have to create content specifically for the Apple. I'm guessing you could probably just use one of the sides and have that be your regular one. I don't know. We'll have to find out more as it continues. But speaking of film, the Tribeca Film Festival is going on. They announced a new vertical for creators, which is kind of a big deal. Charlotte Colombo from Passion Fruit reported about this, and launching on June 8th with a TED Talk, not a TED Talk, just a talk, led by Brandon Edelman, Coco Moko, and Archie Gips. And it's covering topics such as engagement, fandom interaction, and authentic storytelling. The festival will also introduce the Creator Influencer Award, and it will also include a year-round talk series taking place at the Lighthouse, which apparently is some creator studio thing that they're building up in like Williamsburg, Greenpoint area. I looked it up, and I was like, wow, it's going to be a pain to get to. So I probably won't be going, but if you're in Manhattan, it's probably easier for you to get there. The Tribeca Film Festival is holding its 23rd festival, June 5th to 16th. So it's going on right now in New York City. And guess where it is? Tribeca. Can you believe it? Tribeca is one of the world's most prestigious film festivals. Maybe Starbucks will show up soon. And not from someone just bringing Starbucks to the movie theater. Fast Company Sarah Bregel reports Starbucks is launching its own movie studio named Starbucks Studios. They're partnering with Oscar-winning producer Michael Sugar. And in a statement, he said, storytelling is deeply ingrained in what Starbucks does, and Starbucks Studios is a natural extension of these efforts. Together, we will harness the power of storytelling to foster connections, inspire change, and build a stronger sense of community. We're excited to work alongside the incredible Starbucks team and invite all of our collaborators in Hollywood and beyond to join us in creating premium entertainment. Which, like, what are they going to do, dude? What does that look like? Mattel obviously had a success story for Barbie, but like, are you just going to make a movie about a barista? I don't, like, what is that, dude? I don't know. What would you guys like to see from Starbucks Studios for media? Evie's in the chat saying Starbucking across the universe. Also, hello to AAR Creativa over on YouTube. I do see you. Thank you for being over here on YouTube. It's a little bit quieter on YouTube, but if you're watching on YouTube, say hi so that AAR Creativa is not alone. Key says, I'm going to need my movies very mocha with latte anytime soon. Well, some sad news, though. Sidebar.io is taking a break. It's a favorite daily newsletter of mine. It's written by Sasha Grief, and it is 5 links every day. No comments, debates, or editorials. Just 5 links every day. And it was all about design. I got a lot of content for this show by checking that out and just seeing the lay of the land. He was sending 20 emails a month to 60,000 people, and that kind of just added up. It was a weight on him. It became kind of too much. Hopefully it comes back. I sent him a message, and I was just like, I really appreciate what you've done for the last 12 years. But I hope that it comes back. And if you guys ever checked out Sidebar yourself, you should reach out and just let him know that you like it. Albert, thank you for saying hello from Orlando, Florida. Good to see you. YouTube creators can finally test multiple thumbnails. So if you're a content creator and you're using YouTube as an outsource, you might be able to check out to see which thumbnails are performing better on the same video. YouTube announced Test and Compare this week. It's rolling out to a limited set of creators right now and only on computers through YouTube Studio. But you can compare the performance of up to 3 video thumbnails to gain insights that help you with your content strategy. You can test thumbnails on public long-form videos, previous live streams saved as videos, or on podcast episodes, like File New. Test results will declare a winner based on clicks and watch time. They have this cute little test report, and it will be telling you which one you can go with, sometimes after even 2 weeks of testing, which is nice. In some bad news, Instagram is testing unskippable ads. Boo! These are like the mobile ads you see when you're playing a cheap mobile game, and it's reported by Sarah Perez for TechCrunch. The new ads display a countdown timer that stops user from being able to browse through more content on the app until they view the ad. Meta said, "We're always testing formats that can drive value for advertisers." LOL. Like, it's so clearly like advertisers first here that it's going to make the experience for users significantly worse. Also, like, Instagram ads are famously targeted, and I just can't imagine that the ones that they're going to force people to watch and not get out of are going to be the ones that are like targeted towards you. Barbara says, while it's blocking real info, yeah, like you have to either just watch it through. It has this little ad break thing that pops up on the bottom, or I guess you could exit out of the app. I don't know if you hop back into the app if the ad continues or what. It's just ugh. Evie is in the chat saying Kara, which is or is it Kara? Which is a really good transition because that's our next story. Speaking of Meta making everyone mad, we talked about Kara for the creatives last week, the app that is focused on making sure it is art by artists and has a gloss on top of everything to make sure that your work cannot be scraped for artificial intelligence. Turns out the app went from 40,000 users to 650,000 users in a week. This is according to Amanda Silberling at TechCrunch. Zhang and 3 other artists, Zhang is the one who is the creator of the app, are actually also suing Google for allegedly using their copyrighted work to train Imagen, an AI generator, and they're also a plaintiff in some other lawsuits against like Midjourney. In a way to protect your work, though, this is some nice fun news. Currently in beta for Adobe as an independent plugin. I guess I can put on the crypto thing here. Blockchain. Wacom UEFI securely records their ownership of their work on the blockchain, allowing artists to manage the legal use of your images through licensing. Beta versions for competitors are announced for later this month, but it's already out in Photoshop. And Wacom was poignant to note that this service is not for profit. It's not for like making NFTs and selling them for a lot. It is solely focused instead on the immutable nature of the blockchain to create digital footprints of ownership. So you can point back and say like, look, this is the first physical example online that I created this thing. This is me. You do not need a Wacom tablet to use the tech. You can use it no matter what it was created with, as long as you are exporting it out of Photoshop. And you just add it to the JPEG as you export it, and then it's matched to the artist on the blockchain permanently. Turn off my little border. Speaking of tablets, though, the competitor's territory is Sense Labs, which I have not personally used Sense Labs before, but they got a pretty glowing review from Creative Block for their new Pen Display 16. They said it's a great value, it's accurate and a compact 4K OLED drawing tablet, and this is a review by Ian Dean. He gave it a 4.5 out of 5-star review and says it has a beautiful stylus and great design choices, but lacks touch control keys and requires a remote. It's currently going for $1,249 on the official Sense Labs website, but when I was looking it up, it's actually on Best Buy, I think, for like $900 some when I was looking up for grabbing this information. But real quick, before we hop into our next segment, I just want to remind you that File New is a podcast. If you listen to podcasts while you're doing the dishes or you're driving, it is available as both a video and audio podcast. You can listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts, including Spotify or Apple or Overcast, you name it. If you are looking for it on your app and you cannot find it, please reach out to me and let me know, because I want to make sure it is as available as possible. Giving it a listen helps me out a lot. But that is the headlines that we have for today. Let's go ahead and hop on into thoughts. All right, so like we were talking about earlier, WWDC happened this week, and iPhone introduced a theme engine to change all the icons on home pages to the same color. This is something that's kind of been around for Android for a while. Hi, Afridra. And it's been something that you can kind of have customization over with Android, but this new approach from Apple has just like, you pick a color and it just adds it to everything. It's kind of like a sheen on top of absolutely everything. It's really weird to see because it is so ugly. It is so Apple is so well known for their attention to design, their detail, their specific aesthetic, so long that this is why for the longest time they did not let you change the icons and the colors, because they didn't want it to feel clunky or bulky or out of place. But this just looks so ugly. I mean, I'm not the only one here, right? Like, it looks so ugly. For some of them, it doesn't even seem like it's like the Photos app here. You can't even really tell what it is. I think that it'd be better if they had found some way to make it so you could adjust certain parts of the icons specifically, maybe added it out. Brody says, I could imagine it would look better and worse for different apps. Yeah, but it just blindly adds it to absolutely everything. Evie says, I like my apps colorful, which I also agree. I will not be using this. She also likes to have it in order on her screen. I can see, I can make an argument for the wanting to see something around the picture. Like, I think that sometimes there is something that gets covered up by icons and you're like, okay, I could switch it around. But the colors, I'm not on board. I hope they fix it. I hope they apply something new. It was weird to see them announce. I'm not into it. Speaking of ugly things, let's talk about AI being used in Hollywood 4K restorations. So the links for all of today's stories and things that we talk about are in the raindrop, which is attached to this description, which is available in both the replay and right now if you want to hop in. But the one that we're linking here is from Norel. He apparently has 238,000 subscribers on YouTube, so good job, Norel. But he made a video about James Cameron's recent 4K releases. He released, James Cameron, True Lies, Aliens, The Abyss, and Titanic in a new 4K format. Now, the way that, and I learned this all from the video, so this is me. You should check out the video in its full entirety. I'm just going to add some talking points here. 4K is essentially normally made because you clean and rescan the negative, you repair obvious damage, and then you match the original color grading from the original film and the vision. And that's it. You don't really touch much. That's kind of just what it is. 4K can essentially pull what a 45 millimeter film has and create a one-to-one recreation in your home. Like, it's great if you just scan it at 4K now, because we are now at a point where the scanning is so high that like the details that you're going to get out of the 45 millimeter piece of film is what can then be replicated. However, James Cameron recently decided to push these re-releases through AI without much thought. And additionally, many online found that there was evidence that they didn't even rescan the negatives. They just took the 2K footage that they filmed back in like 2010 and threw it through AI. Now, 4K is a much bigger color space than Blu-ray, so it should be able to pull more from the negative. Like, that is what is part of the benefit of taking these and scanning them in 4K, because then you will get more color. If you're just taking it from the 2K, you already have compressed color, and when you try to boost it or enhance it or put it in AI, like, it's not going to have the same amount of detail. Less information relies on AI to do more heavy lifting, and we talked about this in a few episodes ago, but up-resing a photo isn't revealing what's there. That's why we can't use it in like court systems or any sort of like, let's find out what's there, because AI is not magically revealing what is right there. Instead, what AI is doing is it's making its best guess to say like, okay, this is the information that I have, this is what we have also in our data set, and this is what it probably could be. So it really needs to be babysat, because then otherwise you end up with this weird stuff. It is a problem where AI doesn't know what's going on and just making best guesses, whether it's like morphed faces or exaggerated skin lines. It can have broken grain that's just moving around. And here you go. For the Rec 709, that is what Blu-ray has, and the Rec 2020, that is the color spectrum that 4K has. And then that whole spectrum is the spectrum that we can see as humans. Blue and pink, I guess, are getting the worst rap. But basically, you can see it is a dramatic difference. If you switch it to 4K, you should be able to get new colors from the negative that you weren't able to get otherwise. So he argues in his video that AI should be used in a targeted manner and selectively, like fixing stunt doubles' faces in Titanic, or using it to align multiple prints of the same film negative to use real data to merge the negatives to fill in the missing pieces. It's a 17-minute video, so it's probably great for a lunch break, maybe a notably long toilet break. I don't know. And I think it's a really thoughtful piece, not dismissing AI, but also not saying it's a magical button you can just press and walk away. He also makes a strong point, too, that physical copies are going away. And so they are providing these digital versions, and they get posted on these different sites like streaming services, and that's what we get. Like that is the new version that we are stuck with for this foreseeable future. If we get a bad 4K version that is a fake 4K version, you can see over here on the side, like he took the old version and just pumped it up rather than like what they had. And that's the version that we're going to have for like the next decade until they scan it again for whatever reason. In the video, he's like, it could be the last format. No, I think that for forever, we will just always continue to get better scanning, because that's just how the life works. But it's interesting. It's sad to see something get a commercial release that is obviously not finished or not, given the attention to detail that is, expected from James Cameron. And it's really scary to think that maybe other film producers might also take the same approach and just throw it through AI and not really focus on it. I think AI can be a really good tool for a lot of these restorations, but I just don't think that you can just throw it on top of everything and be like, fix it and then sell it again. Just because, it doesn't bode well. It doesn't age well. This is the most important time. AI is going to get better, but like this is the time where we're making the decisions. So Oliver says, I'm still buying physical copies of things I want to keep. Keys says it has humor that perhaps is not best shared with others. Oh, what, for the video? Yeah, there is some mature content in there as well. So don't watch it around little ones. But that's what we have for thoughts for today. Let's go ahead and hop into resources. Along with the developer conference this week came a lot of design instructionals that Apple tends to normally release for developers to be able to design apps and other things to create on their platforms. One of them was a cool optical fit trick. This was caught by Andres Storm on Threads. If you're trying to place an icon in the end of a round bar, you can blur out the icon to catch the curve of the edge. Then you can adjust it accordingly. He also calls out a few other new design updates like Siri's new animation affecting icons and the Apple Intelligence icon. But I went ahead and I did link to it. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up because it has an animation, but I didn't have the I don't have the opportunity to do it. But you can see here, if you're looking at it, they blur the airplane and then it creates this curve. And so then you can adjust it to make sure that it lines up. And so it doesn't only have the icons. He also points out that they announced it with text as well, where then he's blurring it and then you can move it for the text to kind of show up. And it ends up optically framing it so that it's not always just in the same place in the same way that you would have a circle and a square or a triangle, but it's unique to what is actually there and can be used for text, icons, you name it. You can check out a bunch of other Apple's resources on their website. He links to it in there for the developer app. There's a lot of stuff that probably does not apply to you, so I don't know if you're going to 100% want to, but it is there. Next up for our resources, we also wanted to talk a little bit about Canopio, I think it's called. And it's canopio.club. It is a thinking canvas for new ideas and hard problems, according to them. You can make and mind maps that wiggle and animate. It's easy to incorporate links, images, GIFs, extensions, and it embeds YouTube videos really well. It's free up to 100 cards. And it's just easy to pop in and go on. You can either log on and have an account, or you can just immediately hop in and start playing with it immediately. Just if anything else, I think it's a really inspiring web design. I'm trying to find it on my links right now, but let's go here. It's just literally Kipio, right? Canopio. I don't even know what that means, right? Canopio Club. And you can see here that it just has all these little guys. You can make them wiggle around. You can animate them. You can go in and like add this thing so that it then has this going on. This is a GIF that I added easily. You can click in and you can add like headers and tags, and it pops up. You can connect it to each other, and just really easy, just straight on the website. No fuss, no harm. It's just nice and easy. So if you're someone who likes to make mind maps, check out canopio.club. Let's hop into Font of the Week. So the font of the week this week is Fromage. Kind of reminds me of Dexter's Lab. But this is from Adam Ladd, and it is a modern, bold, high-contrast sans serif typeface that balances the unexpected with restraint. It was a obvious choice for fashion, beauty, and luxury branding. It uses dramatically angled and elongated terminals. This is it as the alphabet right here. It also has an alt form that has abruptly flat terminals to make it more stately if you need it to be. And it has a generous X height and round forms. It's available in 7 weights. You can have stylistic alternatives for letter forms, so you can highlight the thing and like switch out the N to something else. It also has a set of arrow icons as well. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we're just going to write out something like file new. Here we go, and then we're going to change it to Fromage because right now it is Adobe Clean, and I will just show you the extensiveness of this typeface. So I put in file new. I'm going to increase it, and then from right here, you know, you can always go into our glyphs panel, which I always like to explore. And you can just see all the different types of things that you can kind of mess around with. You know, they have accents, so it can be used for multiple different languages. It has your arrows, it has little dots, and it's just a really nice looking luxury font. I think that you could really make something feel expensive, even if it's, you know, something simply written. So you could write, I don't know, like, what's something that's not very serious, like Pop-Tarts, but like suddenly it feels like that's luxury Pop-Tarts, you know what I mean? And it's easy to read. It comes in all these different typefaces. This is right off of Adobe Fonts as well. So if you have a creative subscription, a Creative Cloud subscription, you have access to Fromage. And so that is our font of the week. Also in Font of the Week, I wanted to take time to talk a little bit about this interesting history story that I just learned about this week. And this is a century-old typeface that was yeeted into the Thames River about 100 years ago. And it was recently recovered. So this comes from Kate Moths at Colossal, and they reported about this. The Dove's font, which you can see over my shoulder, was made by TJ Cobden Sanderson and Emery Walker back in 1900. Fun fact about TJ Cobden Sanderson is that apparently he coined the term arts and crafts. So thanks, TJ. They founded a press together in 1900, and they pulled inspiration from the Renaissance Italian books for typefaces. And in 1917, 8 years after Emery left the business, so TJ was on his own for 8 years, he decided that he was over it and that no one got it. And so that was a literal sense, actually. He was like, literally, like, no one can get this. So he chucked the letterpress into the Thames River so that no one would get it. And he jotted down the date and location in his journal. Apparently, it took him 170 trips to discard it in entirety. 170 trips to discard all of his letter stuff. Also, what a litter bug. It was so much. Each load weighed about 15 to 20 pounds. It's so petty and it's so dedicated, which is really funny. But type enthusiast Robert Greene went looking for it in 2014 because he was like, hey, he wrote down how he got rid of it. Within minutes of going there, he found a V letter form, and then he found a few more. So then he enlisted the help of scuba divers. Greene and the team recovered a total of 151 sorts of typefaces out of a potential 50,000. So, you know, like it's a very small amount of it. But the fact that he found 151 is really interesting. Now he's developed a digital version to preserve the font, and he justifies it by saying that if TJ really wanted it gone, he wouldn't have written down where it was. That might, you know, be a little bit of a stretch, but at the same time, like, it is nice to have a historical context of these type presses and these letter forms that were influencing design, you know, over 100 years ago. And he's dead, like, whatever, I don't know. But it's interesting. You can get access to some of the digital fonts as its own thing. It has its own terms. I didn't look entirely into it, but I thought it was a really interesting story, not only because it took 170 trips to discard it, but also that they were able to, over 100 years later, find it. And just goes to show you, when you litter, things kind of stick around. Let's keep traveling around the world, and let's hop into Ticketbooth. Real quick before we move on to Ticketbooth, Oliver is being funny in the chat. He says, I mean, if he really wanted to be gone, he could have just melted the blocks down instead of chucking it in a river, which, I mean, yeah, that's true. Keys is also saying, does TJ stand for Throw Joe? Evie's also saying it's a nice story to come across. Let's get it out of the river. This is Titanic 2.0. All right, so for Ticketbooth, this is when we explore different shows that are going on both physically and digitally. This one is a personal favorite of mine. It's Teenage Engineering. They are this Swedish consumer electronics company. They have a show at the SF MoMA. Teenage Engineering is responsible for making beautiful products that are a blend of minimalist and playfulness. So they don't have like the Apple aesthetic. They have this kind of retro futuristic vibe that skipped the Star Wars quiche, but like also kind of has camp in it. And they're known for their high quality materials and attention to detail. They're very expensive, so I don't own anything from them. But Aaron Venkatesh recently went to SF MoMA to see their exhibit, Art of Noise. He wrote about it on his newsletter, which is linked, and he summarized it by saying it presents some of the greatest graphic design and industrial design in all of history. So that is no small feat. As soon as you exit the elevator, there's this vivid blue color scheme across the walls, tables, and seats. The lounge area features a sea-like modular cushion system resembling a waveform, and it has these aluminum listening consoles designed by Teenage Engineering. The exhibition showcases hundreds of beautifully designed music-related posters that you can see here all throughout history. They have like the dancing iPod ones. Music players from different decades, including the Walkman, iPod, a concrete stereo. You can see this is side by side with iPod with some of the Teenage Engineering stuff, and a device that is called the Brion Vega Radiophonographo, which is apparently owned by Johnny Ive, who used to work for Apple. And so this is a big hit with people who are really into it. I don't know if I've ever seen it before, but it's interesting. There's also a hi-fi pursuit listening room, and there's a modular set of wooden dolls that sing together. The Art of Noise is going on now through August 18th at SF MoMA. So if you are over in San Francisco, you should go check it out. Next up, we have a digital show in the event that you're like me and you probably won't be able to go to San Francisco. The print magazine announced the winners of the 2024 Print Awards. It's in its 40th year, and it's been a worldwide thing since the 2020. The Print Awards celebrate a range of visual design trends, technological advancements, type, texture, color, print, digital, you name it. The Professional Best of Show Award went to MacBoss Seasonal Stationery, and it was something for, I think, Ramadan, and had this really cool leaf print on top of these other like die cut circular envelopes that you could then pull out. The Student Best of Show went to Doyeon Kim from SVA. Hey, New York, what's up? For Damaged Goods, and it looks like it has some burnt feel to it, or like a kind of a film negative that we're talking about. Editor's Choice went to Base Design for Studio Museum in Harlem website redesign. Cool typeface, nice use of scale with, you know, a different modular approach to images. And Agency of the Year went to Kasa Collective. That's a Kasa Collective. You can catch all the awards and some nominees and some other callouts on the Print Magazine's website. Art Basel, the International Art Fair annually staged in Basel, Switzerland, starts its next leg tomorrow. Art Basel is happening June 13th to 16th, and Aaron Kaker at ArtNet did a comprehensive rundown of how to prep according to the experts. There are things like getting a day pass for the tram, making a plan of which galleries to see, and there is dressing chic but keeping things practical. He mentions 10 shows you have to see, but also mentions things that are on and off site worth checking out, and he even includes places to eat and drink. So if you are over in Europe, by all means, please, on my behalf, go check out Art Basel. And there's a lot of really cool stuff. There's a neon artist that I really, really like that is going to be there. He's no longer alive, but I'm so bad at names all the time, and I had a teacher call me out for that one time. I want to say it's Gary something, but I can't think of it. Neon Art Basel. I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh, that's a bummer. Does anyone in the chat know it? It's a guy that he used to like go and he would like give you the blueprints to then make a art exhibition in yourself, and they're really beautiful, and I wrote down his name and I always go back to it because I always forget it, but I'm making a fool of myself. I shouldn't even just mention it. Whatever. Next up, one more digital show for you. It's the Sienna Awards. They announced the 2024 Drone Photo Award nominees. Winners will be announced on September 28th, but you can check out the pictures right now. My favorite, personally, is Shepherd with Herd, and it's by Ivo Dankchev from Bulgaria. It's a shepherd surrounded by a sea of brown, tan, and gray, like a shag carpet, and he looks up slightly off center, off frame, and it's a drone shot, but for sure it's framed in such a beautiful way. And that's all we have for Ticketbooth. So let's take a second to take a drink of water and throw it over to Allie with Hyperlinks. All right, Allie is back, and her hair's not that short. It's a lie. She just has it pulled up in a ponytail to look like she has a pixie cut, but enjoy it. Take it away, Allie.
Thanks, Ryan. And hey, everybody, it's Allie, and I'm so happy to be back on File New, bringing you the hyperlinks that you need and love. Okay, let's just get into it. First up, do you ever need a quick river to stare into and contemplate your past? Alicia Gao has your back. The HCI researcher, computational artist, and poet created a page on her website that features an interactive river set to the famous song Moon River. The URL is alisagao.com/moonriver. Let's go there right now. That's just so peaceful. You could sit here, think about your past, regrets, mistakes, not in a sad way, in a French way. Yeah, so it's interactive. You click around the screen, and there it is. Then Moon River comes in. Sometimes when I think about my past in a French way, not a sad way, I wonder, why didn't I take more chances? Why didn't I ride that bull in Spain or skydive in New Jersey? Thanks to magiclens.app, I can now create pictures of the activities that look awesome that I'm too afraid to do in real life. And so I'm going to rack up those likes on Instagram. The website works easily. You add a photo of yourself, choose the scenario you want to see yourself in, and then save or share. So for skydiving example, I'm going to try it now, add image, and then you click generate and you watch it as it generates. There it is, guys. See, there's some great pictures of me skydiving, even though I've never skydived in my life and I never will. And I certainly won't do it if I do it in New Jersey. When I don't get enough attention on Instagram from posting fake AI photos of myself doing things I would never do, it can be hard, even horrible. I think, do I have any friends? I need more friends. I need friends who will never leave me, who live in my house but take up very little space. I need a personal aquatic ecosystem, but I can't afford one and I don't have space. That's why I turned to orb.farm to create and nurture my own digital personal aquatic ecosystem, what I call my friend tank. Let me take you there now. You get a little orientation. This is welcome to Orb Farm. This is your personal aquatic ecosystem to nurture, sculpt, and observe. Then you get advice from the Daphnia. My advice, start with the basics. Fill your tank with sand and water or vice versa. Also, just so everyone knows, Daphnia sounds really fancy, but it just means water flea. Balance the needs of your ecosystem to achieve a stable orb community and have fun. So you can start with sand. It's a really fun, interactive cursor system. You can see it's so easy and kind of pleasurable to fill it up with sand. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of glass. I don't really know what that does, TBH, like stone. Then you can add grass, which I think is super important for all life forms. Then I'm gonna start to add the Daphnia, the water fleas. You can add a ton of those at once. The goldfish are just one pixel at a time, so it's a little more arduous. And all the elements are just represented by little pixels. So you can watch the ecosystem develop, or you can speed things up. So just keep both within the right levels, the CO2 and the oxygen, and you will keep all your little digital friends alive. If the aesthetics of Orb Farm have you missing the 90s internet, don't worry, I have a link for you. ocn-w.github.io/thedesktop. Oh, even just that screensaver brings me back. This is the first screensaver I ever interacted with and played Minesweeper on. So this website allows you to use Paint IT and Yahoo Messenger. This means that I can finally have the username AlleyCat, which I wasn't allowed to have as a kid because my mom thought that it could be inappropriate. All right, I'm gonna just type. We can use MS Paint. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember doing some truly epic portraits on MS Paint. I don't think anything that epic is going to come out today, but you never know when inspiration will strike. This also has Internet Explorer, and you can try searching for things, but kind of the really fun and special part of this website is that the Internet Explorer isn't really a search engine. It actually just acts like a mini StumbleUpon, and it takes you to completely random websites. Okay, yeah, I gotta pick up the apple. Oh, I had to click. Oh my God, that was so fun. Wow, she can really eat them apples. And it is thanks to this last tool that I found, our very last hyperlink of the day. When I'm feeling overwhelmed by my fear of heights, my lack of courage, my lack of Instagram likes, or my aquarium's oxygen levels, I can just make everything okay with the click of a button. It's a make everything okay. If you've been following the show for a while, you know that I love these types of websites. Whatever you're stressed about, you're just gonna click and then you get watch it load. Make everything okay is in progress. Everything is okay now. If everything is still not okay, try checking your settings of perception of objective reality. So silly, but I like it. That's all the hyperlinks from me today. Back to you, Ryan. Sick.
Thank you, Allie. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and hop on into Rebrand. So Siri has a new look that was announced during the conference, and it kind of looks like the Creative Cloud. I don't know how long it'll actually be showcased, since the new UI shown in the demos didn't actually have the icon pop up as a bubble like recent iterations did. It seems now more so than ever that it's actually just going to be this kind of border around this screen, which I think is a really interesting turning point in the idea that like we're getting farther away from logos, and you can also just kind of become experiential to have an identity and a feature kind of focused. And so I really do like how it ended up looking as far as when it's implemented. It has this cool little animation that kind of is a waveform, or like a shockwave that kind of goes through all of your icons and then adjusts it to then go around your border to let you know that it is listening. Also, hello to Michael Brown. Good to see you here. And what do you guys think? I mean, am I wrong? Doesn't it look very Creative Cloudy? I mean, I guess they're both like infinity symbols with gradients. But I'm surprised because the Creative Cloud logo has been around for so long. You would think that someone would have flagged that maybe on the Apple side. Are you guys listening? Apple, what's up? In a brand refresh, Young Jerks made a new packaging and design for Wildfish Cannery. It's beautiful and retro, kind of reminds me of the other food that we were looking at with the guy from The Bear. It has bright, vivid colors of red and yellow with easy-to-read text with thin stroke outlines. You can see that it has the clear and detailed icons of the fish. I don't personally eat fish, but it's shot in a way that it's not gross, even when, it has kind of this very rustic manufactured vibe. It seems like a great rebrand. And from what I can tell, it has a extremely positive reaction to it. And maybe I'll eat salmon, except maybe I won't. Bumble has a new rebrand as well. It was done in-house, and this reporting comes from Tom May for Creative Boom. It has a refreshed logo, color palette, typography, and custom illustrations. They've removed the little honeycomb around the logo and now just use the lines. I personally think it looks too indiscernible from Snapchat at first glance. Like, it looks very Snapchat yellow because they changed the yellow as well. I don't necessarily think it's a flop, but I also don't think it provides anything substantially new that justifies a rebrand. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're thinking of Netflixing and chilling with your new Bumble date, though, you might be greeted with a new redesigned home screen on Netflix. The Verge's Emma Roth reported that Netflix is testing a new redesign with its TV app that opts out of static images for boxes that extend as you hover over them. They take up the whole screen and play a little bit of the content, but really take full real estate rather than show you a lot of things that you kind of like jitter your eyes around too much. They removed the sidebar and moved it to the top, which is also coincidentally the same thing as Apple doing with their stuff as well. And I don't think it's any surprise that the TV design user experience principles haven't really been figured out by anyone yet. Hulu used to be awful, but none of the other apps have seemed to figure it out either. I want to see if this is a step in the right direction. I don't know necessarily what to do, but using TV apps has been the best experience for me on Apple TV. But I just have not been able to really figure out something that like works for everyone. Is another example of it as well. You can see this is kind of where it blows up and starts to play. And then also reported by Creative Boom, Saatchi and Saatchi created a nonpartisan campaign to drive youth voters to the polls in the UK. The new campaign aims to engage 18 to 24-year-olds and remind them to register, remember their ID, and turn out on the 4th of July. They leaned in on the idea of it being 18 plus and, quote, hot AF. They leveraged eggplant emojis, parental advisory images, and blurred out adult-only image effects. And I think it's extremely effective and eye-catching. It's very cool to see. It's tongue-in-cheek. It's very fun. And thanks to Tom May for reporting on this one for Creative Boom. We only got a little bit of time left, so let's hop on into Spotlight. For our spotlight for this week, we have 25 photos that define the modern age from the New York Times. This was written by M.H. Miller, Brendan Emser, Emmanuel Iduma, and Lucy McKeon. It explores the 25 most significant photographs since 1955. I want to be respectful to the paywall of the New York Times, so I won't be going through all 25. But just to give you a high-level approach, they consulted 6 famous photographers to submit up to 7 possible nominees, and then they deliberated on them. Both fine art and reporting images were considered. Questions emerged quickly like how was it for a photograph to expand the possibilities of the medium, and how much did it matter who took a photo and what their intentions were. They also address the absence of many historical events like the Berlin Wall or the JFK assassination. The number 1 spot went to Robert Frank for the 1955 image Trolley New Orleans, which showcased America's deep segregation on buses. It was a controversial image at the time, to be expected, but it also is said to have helped make segregation a national debate and was a contributing factor to the Montgomery bus boycotts. I am taking that directly from the article. Number 4 spot went to Alberto Corda for the Guerrillo Hiroko, taken in 1960, the portrait of Che Guevara at a funeral, but wasn't really used until he was executed back in 1967. Became an icon and a symbol for revolution. You see this picture everywhere. This one is very iconic and very, like I said, a symbol for revolution, and used on so many things now, which is interesting. Number 19 is the famous unidentified man blocking a column of tanks in Tiananmen Square by Stuart Franklin. Number 25 is the Beyonce Renaissance cover by Carlin Jacobs. So this is the tip of the iceberg. There are 25 of them, and there are so many, which is really interesting to go through and to learn a lot. I learned a lot about different photographs and their history and about some different events that happened that I did not know. Then next up, I wanted to do a spotlight on one of Adobe's spotlights, which was a really cool thing that happened this week. And it was High Tech High School, which is a first for Adobe Live. Adobe evangelist Torrin Reeves brought on the high school students from High Tech High School. It featured Jose Calron III, a 17-year-old senior who is an audio video production technician and a content creator going to Montclair State University in the fall. And then on the left there is Madison Chambers, an 18-year-old lighting technician and filmmaker going to NYU in the fall. Lauren Cabrera was the teacher who was there over to the right, and Torrin's on the left. High Tech High School is a career and technical educational school, and they showcased using Adobe Express for editing. I definitely recommend go checking it out. It streamed yesterday. I'm sure it would mean a lot to the kids if you went on there and you left comments that were positive and encouraging as they're getting into the world of video editing in a professional sense, and also just having their debut on Adobe Live. And we love being able to work with younger artists and creators. So if you know of something similar, please by all means let me know. And I would love to try to get the opportunity to get people onto Adobe Live. And then the show that happened right before this show was Lem Lemmer, and he is a professional concept artist. He was interviewed by Drawslaw's Brody McPhail, and Lem is an experienced concept designer. He's also an educator. He currently works for Ubisoft while also working on his own beautiful illustrations of his own. I'm a big fan of his illustrations with robots and humans, naturally, right up my alley. And he has a really great sense of color and shading, and his character designs have a really great sense of variety, and he also has illustration variety, which is very important. They talk a little bit about that on the show. They also talk about tips and tricks of how to approach things like color and lighting, and how he got to know all of his anatomy very well. But that is everything that we have for today. I do want to say a thank you to everyone that came in and watched during the live stream. But if you're watching during the replay, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Give me a follow either on Instagram or Blue Sky. I am Ryan Selvey on Instagram, RyanSelvy. And with Blue Sky, it is ryanselvey.com. You can also just find all my stuff by going to ryanselvey.com. We won't be live next week, but we will be back in 2 weeks on June 25th, which is a Tuesday. It'll be during this time slot, and we'll be going over all the news and updates for the week. I'll try to keep an eye on stuff next week so that I can also report on that when I get back for the week after. Thank you to everyone that tuned in. Thank you for being here. Thank you to our moderator, Cody, for moderating the chat. You guys can check out all of our links for everything that was mentioned today, hyperlinks and news stories and all. LCAT, I do see that you mentioned image sizes, so I will explore expanding the size of the images over my shoulder for the next time we're live, just so I hear your feedback. And yeah, if you guys have any other feedback, please let me know. Trying to make this show the best it can be. Tell your friends. Would love to make this show as best as possible so that Adobe loves it and wants to continue to let me produce it. So do me a favor, give this a thumbs up on YouTube, give it a comment, give it a like, show your friends, get that view count up for me. That's pathetic, but I'm asking you anyway. Bye guys, appreciate you. Thanks for watching.